Nigeria, Japan, or both? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction, first impressions showdown for Iwájú and Shōgun. So this is two very different shows that we are going to be comparing here. And right off the bat, well, not really comparing, but reacting to today. Right off the bat, though, you notice the lighting is kind of shit right now. It's a lot later than I normally record, but during prime recording time today, my mother ended up coming over because she had to dry her laundry. The dryer at her place is on the fritz. So, yeah. Because of that, I was not able to record during prime recording time, so kind of sucks, but didn't really have a choice. But anyway, I'm doing this first impression today mostly because there's no One Piece today. There just wasn't one this past weekend. There was a week off, so I decided to do this kind of in its place. I was already thinking about doing a first impression to these two series anyway. So yeah, we have two very different shows here. We have a Disney Plus series, Iwájú, that takes place in Lagos in Nigeria. And I don't know much of anything else about it. I don't know what the actual plot is about. I just know that it takes place in Lagos, Nigeria, and that it's a 6-episode Disney Plus show that got pretty much no attention because it got pretty much no advertising, because Disney for some reason has become absolute dog shit with advertising in the past few years. Just absolute dog shit in terms of advertising. I don't know why, but pretty much since COVID hit, their advertising has plummeted, and they've just been terrible at, making sure people even know that their movies and shows and stuff are coming out. So then we have Shōgun. I have no idea what she's barking at. But Shōgun is a really big show currently on Hulu, I think. And it is, from what I gathered, a Japanese drama centering around, the shogunate era, which I get my time periods of Japan mixed up. Is that Edo period, Meiji period? I'm not 100% sure. Again, I get the periods mixed up there, so I'm not confident on that at all. You can correct me in the comments, please do. But yeah. The big thing I know about Shōgun, other than it's just excessively popular right now, is that it stars the legendary Hiroyuki Sanada. Hiroyuki Sanada is just huge in terms of Japanese media and whatnot. The two big roles that I mostly know him for, though, are more recent things. He was in the newer Mortal Kombat movie, playing Scorpion, Hanzo Hasashi, and he was in Bullet Train, I believe. He was the grandfather, or father. Was he the father or grandfather of another one of the characters? But he was in that too. So yeah, he's known for his sword work and everything. He's just amazing as an actor, and I'm very excited to see him in this. I assume he plays the titular Shōgun, maybe? Now, one thing I'm interested in too is how deep is this going to go in terms of how corrupt and, kind of fucked up shogunates tended to be. Shoguns were not usually good people. There were definitely exceptions, but most of the Shoguns were, pretty shitty. And I wonder if it's going to really delve into that. But we are doing both of these, so there will be links in the description below to both reactions separately. You can watch them in any order you want. You don't even have to watch both. But I am doing a first impression of both of them today, and the afterthoughts will be separated into an afterthoughts for Iwájú and for Shōgun separately. So again, you can watch whichever parts of this you're going to watch and enjoy this as you do. I'm definitely interested to see what both shows have to offer. And if you're new to the channel and don't know what First Impressions is, basically what we're doing today is we're going to watch the first episodes and determine if I want to continue reacting to them or not. Basically, there's three options. Either I'm going to continue reacting to them at some point in the future, or I'm going to watch them on my own time, because I just feel like it'd be something that would be better to take in at my own pacing and whatnot. Or the third option is I'm just not interested and I'm dropping it. So we'll see how it goes, and I will announce in the afterthoughts what I'm going to do for both of them. But yeah, for the time being, let's just get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow both of the links to their own separate reactions, and after you watch them, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to both of these episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reactions. And we are back with the Iwájú portion of the afterthoughts, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was pretty interesting right off the bat. It takes place in Lagos, Nigeria, which, let me just check something on that real quick here. Because I admit that I'm not, necessarily the most knowledgeable about a lot of things. Just because of not having studied up on a lot of it, but also not have heard of a lot of it from, schooling and stuff. So, Lagos is an island in Nigeria. It's the most populous city and is considered the culture capital of the country. And that's why it was chosen for this series, from what I read up on and everything. This was also a joint production between Disney and another company that apparently initially put out a statement, before this production, saying they wanted to kick Disney's arse. Which is just okay, and now they worked with them. But, yeah, it's an interesting concept, because it takes place in Lagos, but it's also the distinct future. It doesn't explain, what year it's supposed to be or anything. But it stars this young girl named Tola, who is... She's 10 years old, just turned 10, and is the daughter of a wealthy cop, government agent, it's something like that. He's working on a case related to a bunch of kidnappings that have been happening. And we see in the first episode that there's also this guy who is, has been tracking him and trying to find out information about him. I don't know who this person is, but let me see if I can find out here. I'm not going to look up any information outside of the first episode. Okay, so the driver's name is apparently God's Power, which is a name, I guess. The friend is Kole. And okay, it doesn't say anything here in the description of the first episode about the one who was following them. The I guess the kidnapper, the bad guy. But he seemed interested specifically in Tola's father, Tunde, and his tech would not tell him like who Tunde was, and he wants to find that out. So we saw him like at the end, kind of being interested in Kole. I wonder if that's going to come into play there in the next episode. Probably. He might like kidnap him or try to at least. Now Tunde is also working on this lizard robot assistant thing that is supposed to help defend his daughter. And he's trying to get it right. He had these investors put in money and everything, but he seems to be stuck at a very specific problem. It seems like it has like this transformation state where it becomes like where it goes into like a defense or slash attack mode, uh, and it seems to get stuck at that point. Like it just kind of fails. So he's trying to get that taken care of, and apparently only has 2 days to do it, which is, a lot to deal with. And because of everything on his plate, he's kind of forgotten about his daughter's 10th birthday, but barely makes it up to her by giving her the lizard as a pet, which he was, going to give her anyway. It shows how busy and just everything he is, and showcases like there's a bit of a divide there between him and his daughter that I don't think is intentional. I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy. He's just super busy and, is unfortunately neglecting his daughter because of that. Now, we also have this aspect in there where I don't know if it's because he's, wealthy and everything, but he seems to have this issue with his daughter, doing chores and stuff around the house. And he brings up this point when he's like kind of scolding her for it, basically saying like, what would they think if they found out? It's like, who? People? What would people think if they found out about your daughter doing standard household chores? I would think probably nothing, but if there's some kind of issue there with, because, she comes from a wealthy family, it's like, if you're going to judge someone on something like that, that's fucking stupid. And the fact that his entire thought process seems to be about his image is also a little gross, honestly. And again, I don't think it's out of any, like, ill intent or, like, disliking of his daughter or anything like that. I think part of that came down to stress and everything, but also, I think he's worried about losing his status and all, and how big of a deal that would be for, protecting his daughter. So it's definitely going to get into. I think we're going to get into some classism with this series, because it seemed like there's a big discrepancy with Lagos and the mainland from what they were saying. It seems like Lagos, from what we saw of it and everything, everyone there seems to be like, pretty well off. Let's be honest. Based on everything we saw there, it seems like the entire island is just extremely well off. And the way the father was talking about the mainland and specifically where he's from, it made it come across like he came from poverty and really does not want to like look back on that. He's I wouldn't say obsessed necessarily with his wealth and status, but he's afraid to lose it and afraid to remember where he came from in the first place. He's like, he doesn't want to introduce his daughter to that because he wants her to have the best life possible, something that he probably didn't have growing up. You can't really judge someone who's like this as being like terrible or bad for, looking down on people, because I don't think that's what's going on here. you usually never know what their real, like, reasoning is unless, they say something about it. And in this kind of situation, in this case, she's, well, he hasn't said anything specifically. Tola hasn't said anything specifically. There's only implications of things. And we can't really go off of that without enough other evidence. But yeah, I think there's definitely a lot that's going to be said with this series. Considering it's only 6 episodes, they've got to get through this story pretty quick. There's like 22-minute episodes as well. So I think that they're going to really just try to get the point of the story across, not really a lot of dilly-dallying. This first episode, in terms of pacing, felt a little slow, but I think that part of that is like introducing us to what this is going to be. Introducing us to the time period, the technology, the kind of like area we're living in, the characters, the threat. It's like there's so much to introduce right off the bat. So this first episode kind of feels like a little bit of a slog to get through because of that. But the next episodes coming up are probably going to, improve on that a bit. That being said, the question kind of now comes down to, do I want to continue reacting to this or not? Would I rather watch it on my own time? So on and so forth. I tell you right now, it's not just a simple drop, because I do think that there's a lot that this series has to say, and I want to hear it. But I don't want to react to it. And I want to make my reasoning for this pretty clear. This is a series I want to watch at my own pace. And I think would be a good series for me to watch while laying in bed at night, just relaxing and taking it all in. When I'm reacting to something, and I've talked about this before, but I'm actively, like, reacting. When I'm able to watch something on my own, sometimes I'm able to take it in a lot more. When I'm just reacting to it, I have to, basically be putting on a show. I have to perform in a way. And because of that, and because I'm often, like, talking, a lot of the time I end up missing stuff. I end up missing context. I end up missing, like, information. And when I'm just, like, watching on my own time, I can go back and forth and pause it at my will. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to want to do with this series. So, and because it's only 6 episodes long, I think it's going to be easy to get through in that regard. So this is one that I'm going to just watch on my own time. I think it would just be better for this one to do it that way. And we'll kind of just hope that it continues to be this interesting. So I apologize if you were hoping for me to react to more, if you were excited for the possibility of that. Maybe I'll share my thoughts on it as I continue to watch on the Discord. But that's probably what I'm going to relegate it to if I do. Just because, I have other stuff to make videos on, and I don't really have the time to do everything, That's why I have to make these judgment calls as to which of these I'm going to actually react to in the future or not. So, yeah, this one, again, not bad by any means, but not something that I think I would want to react to. I want to watch this on my own time. I want to take it in without having to worry about putting on, a show of sorts. Just, take it in, just fully breathe it in as I watch. I think that's just going to be a better experience for this show. But that being said, I would like to hear your thoughts. So tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Iwájú? Let me know. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. We will now be ending off the Iwájú portion of these afterthoughts, and it will be going into the Shōgun portion. So there will be a portion of the afterthoughts at the end that will just close everything out. If you want to stick around and check that out as well, you can skip ahead. The chapters on the progress bar will show you where to skip ahead to. There are also timestamps just straight up in the description below if you want to check those out. Just skip ahead with that. But that being said, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Okay, and now to begin the Shōgun portion of these afterthoughts, we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So this was very interesting. It had a lot of depth to it, and really went heavy on the drama. It's got a little bit of comedic edge to certain scenes, like just the way the characters act around each other and stuff, but for the most part, it is very serious. It's very intense, and it's something that is definitely going to be heavy in some ways. The characters are pretty solid, what I would kind of expect them to be. I like how they have the white man being kind of a piece of shit, but who I think is clearly supposed to be starting out that way because he's going to learn his lesson and come around in the end. He definitely already started his transformation in this episode, just through, you know, gaining a little bit of a level of respect for the One Lord. Though I still stand by, like, being willing to commit suicide is not really something to respect. I understand the idea behind it. I get what it's going for. And I know it's a cultural thing, especially in the time period this takes place. But suicide is never a good thing. It's never a positive. So, and the entire, you know, thing about the one guy, like, being, you know, killed along with his son to end the bloodline as repentance for speaking out and everything as well, is really messed up. Like, there's just no reason for that. He didn't do anything wrong. So that was just kind of fucked up, honestly. And I'm a little surprised they didn't show that scene, considering they showed a dude earlier in the episode just out of nowhere get his head lopped off. It was super sudden. And they also showed a little bit of sexy time as well. So that was fun. So it's clearly not afraid to show, like, mature stuff, but I think that them not showing it was just a conscious decision based on, you know, we know what was about to happen there. We don't need to see that. It's like, you get the point. Sometimes things not being shown have just as much of an impact. Now, I looked up the actor who played John, I think his name is. And he's been in very little and nothing I would know him for. So he just has a familiar sounding voice, I guess. And the only actor I really recognize is our main guy. So yeah. That doesn't mean I don't know any of the others. I just don't recognize them. But it's pretty interesting so far. There's a lot to it, and I feel like it's going to evolve even more as the series progresses. I don't know if every episode is going to be just over an hour long, or if, like, some will be less. Maybe this first one is just a little bit longer, while most of the episodes might remain around, like, 50 minutes or so. I don't know. But I will say here that this was good. I don't think it's as amazing as everyone's saying it is. People, I think, are overhyping it a little bit. but it's still pretty good. Um, and it definitely makes me want to see more. But I think I want to see more on my own time. This is another one of those shows that I feel like there's going to be a lot of dead air in, where it's just like I'm not going to be talking a lot. There's going to be a lot of scenes where I just don't know what to say, a lot of scenes where it just there isn't much of anything to say. And there's going to be a lot of dead air in the reaction, and I don't really like when that happens. I try to avoid that whenever possible. But I think that's going to be consistent throughout this series. On top of it, I just kind of feel like this is another one of those shows that I would just rather go at my own pace with. It's not something that I want to force myself to do on a weekly basis if I don't want to end up doing it on a weekly basis. It's it's something that I feel needs to be enjoyed whenever I want to get around to it. So, because of that, I think I'm going to I think I'm going to just choose to watch this on my own time. But uh, I might leave my thoughts and all in the Discord. I might mention there what I think about certain things as they happen. We'll see. That being said, we are now going to go into the final bit of the afterthoughts. That's the final thing just to close it out. So if you watch this, let me know your thoughts on this first episode of Shōgun down below. And if you were here for Iwájú, you are past that in the video. I was just going back to watch the afterthoughts for that. And yeah, check that out as well. But let's go into the final bit of these afterthoughts. And so with that, we are closing things out here. And interestingly enough, both of these shows I am choosing to abstain from continuing to react to. I am choosing to watch them on my own time. Has that happened before with one of these? This is our ninth first impression showdown. Has one of these had me just choose not to continue both of them? I don't know. I know we had one where we had a clean streak, a clean sweep, sorry, and ended up choosing to react to all of them in the future. But I don't know if we've had one that was literally the opposite of that, where none of them will be continued in the future. Granted, we only did 2 reactions today. It's not like one of those where we did like 4 or 5. So, I mean, I guess that possibility exists when you have less shows, but still. Yeah, it's just with both of these shows, Iwájú and Shōgun, I just feel like both of these would be better watched on my own time for the reasons I already mentioned. But like I said in both of those afterthoughts, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to, excuse me, I would love to hear your opinions on the episodes. And as always, no spoilers. I don't want to hear what you think about the future of the series unless you keep it spoiler free. If you just want to tell me like, oh, I really like where this series ends up going, that's fine. Just don't tell me what's going to actually happen. So, that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See you all next time.